Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Sacred Heart Awakenings group. I am so delighted that you're here and so grateful for your presence and for watching this video and for being a part of the Sacred Heart Awakenings YouTube channel and also for sharing the videos and the messages. Welcome to another Love Wisdom message. This message for this week is the power of gratitude and how the daily practice can impact your love life, but not just your love life, it also has many benefits to many other areas in your life. So, asking the questions, do you find yourself overwhelmed with all the changes going on in this year of 2020, starting with the pandemic? Do you struggle with lack of self-confidence and self-worth? And do you find it that you're in a tough situation with relationships, that you, for example, are brokenhearted or just struggling in your love life just in general? Well, then you're in the right channel, the right video, because in this video we'll focus on the power of gratitude, and we'll go over the why, the reason for it being so important in your life, and discuss some actual cases of true stories of how it's changed people's lives, starting with my own life, of how I do my own practice of gratitude, and also share some 3 keys to get started right away in doing your own gratitude practice right away. So without much further ado, we'll get started. And first of all, introduce myself. I'm Monica Bermudez, and I am an intuitive self-love energy healer. I have been really fascinated with this whole thing with the quantum field, the quantum physics, and the quantum mechanics, which will tie in and interweave with this message that I wish to share about the gratitude. And there's been so much revelation and study with scientific results and studies about the energy and how gratitude has impacted the human body, and as well as other health benefits with emotion and the way we think. So gratitude is not just a way of just thinking positive. I mean, it's just more of a state of being, and being in that state of the energy field. And when I say the energy field, I'm speaking about the quantum energy field that we are surrounded by constantly, which is the universe. And as Nikola Tesla says, the secret of the universe is energy, frequency, and vibration. So everything is energy. We are energy, and we hold the key to the universe inside of us. And so if everything is energy, that means that even our thoughts and our words contain energy in them. And so you could think of them as being tools. So these tools, where you use them as being positive or being negative. So it could go either way, but it's a matter of choice that we make. So being conscious of it, and consciousness is an aspect of being aware. So being aware in self, in everything that you do, say, and speak. So all of that is a formation of the energy that's around us. And gratitude is one of those biggest, powerful, energetic tools that you can have as part of you, as a daily practice, and something that you just become the state of gratitude. So scientists have found how gratitude itself has increased the immune system, has increased, the health benefits in a physical body. So it's like this mind over matter type situation. And as I've described in some of my videos, there's this documentary that I recommend. It's on Amazon Prime if you have it, or there's other ways to rent it. And it's Superhuman, Making the Invisible Visible. or as some scientists would say, making the unknown known. And in there, they do so many research on meditation, our thoughts, and what we're projecting on objects and ourselves. And the one example that I love to use is the one where they had a person connected to a machine that was showing the patterns on the machine of what she was thinking. So she was lacking the things that she was lacking. She was focusing on that, the things that she wanted to be doing, and just complaining. In other words, complaining is a form of expressing the things that we lack, right? So as she was focusing on that, the machine was projecting these patterns that showed deformations. It had no formation whatsoever. But when she was asked to focus on things that, gratitude, or the things that she has, or the things that make her happy, all of a sudden the machine started to project these patterns that looked like sacred geometry. They were really just beautiful objects. It was like nice pictures of paintings that could easily be framed. And they were just really beautiful. And so that's the power of our thoughts and our emotions. And so scientists are finding how in the brain itself, how all of this is also repatternized at the neural level when we're thinking in a negative thought, but also when we start to shift it into the gratitude phase, then it starts to repatternize itself, and the neurons just rewire themselves in a different way. And then there's also studies with the American Heart Association, and they have discovered also how the heart also benefits. Now the heart there's still so much study happening. And scientists have found, or recently finding, that the heart itself is like a second brain, because they're finding almost similar amount of neurons in the heart that are very similar to the brain itself. So as we are rewiring ourselves with gratitude, the heart is also. And so based on those studies, they have shown how the heart also gets healthier. And it shows how the arteries expand to allow the more flow of blood. Whereas if it's the opposite, when you're stressed, they tend to get smaller, increasing a risk of higher blood pressure and almost literally being heartbroken, as that is a medical terminology that they use. And leads to depression, and it leads to other things that are destructive to the self in each one of us, in our physical body and other aspects. Now, looking at this from my personal story, from a romantic relationship, which is really what got me started into birthing the business of the Sacred Heart Awakenings, which is what I do, is to reach out to people, conscious people who are suffering from heartbreaks from a romantic relationship and are ready to shift into joy, vibration, into higher love, so that they're able to have healthier relationship and call in their divine partner. And all of that starts from the inner work. What triggered me, of course, was my divorce. And that was a huge wake-up call for me in doing a deeper inner work. And as part of that deeper inner work, I started with gratitude. Rather than staying focused on regret, resentment, or anger, or frustration, I started to make it a daily practice of shifting it with gratitude of the things that I do have. And that's where we want to focus on those things. And so I did notice how it was helping my heart in that way, as a tool. And I later, discovered light language, which also started to accelerate all of that expansion. And which is something that I do myself, that it just activated the light language in me the more I started to clear my own karmic and ancestral patterns. And so sometimes we find ourselves stuck in these broken records of repetitive victimhood, being stuck in the past, finding it so hard to really find the subconscious underlying level. And some of these patterns are so hidden that we may not even be aware. So there's different layers of it that get distorted in the energy field of this quantum field. Some of them come from karmic past lives or get transferred through us, through our own ancestors, of the traumas of the mother wounds and the father wounds. And when we grew up, we sometimes do sweep it under the rug and forget about it, even though, some of the experiences we may have had in childhood, trauma, and you add all this, right? It all gets buried into these different layers. And so all of that also impacts our love life, our relationships with others, as well as, other aspects too. Even though I'm focusing on the romantic relationships, but there's also impacts to your health, impacts to your wealth, and your financial state. And all of that has to do with the karmic and ancestral patterns. So yes, gratitude is an energy that helps get that started and shifting that into joy. But sometimes when we want to go much deeper into the energy levels, I go to light language because that's my specialty. And I'm very focused on the heart and rebuilding the heart. And there's so much there, the energy field of it, that scientists are yet discovering or yet to learn about. And the science of now may not have all the tools yet to get to all the answers of how things work. But I think we're getting there. And a lot of things that scientists are discovering now, such as with meditation and the energy of the gratitude and what it does to the body, all of this already been ancient knowledge from the ancient wise teachers and philosophers like the ancient Greeks. They all gave the same message about it. And we have such wise sage who left their imprint on these messages that do live on. And I'll share some quotes with you later about one of them. So what scientists have also found that the heart, when it's opened and when it's balanced, and when I say balance, it just has this unity of the shadow and the light, where as we are by nature as humans, living in this world of duality and polarity. So when the heart is open, it is able to balance itself between these two polarities of shadow and light. So what that produces, what scientists are finding, is that they could measure that resonance frequency that is produced, and the heart is able to extend that frequency or that energy field about 3 meters or so. Now intuitively, what I feel is that that heart can actually expand even further when you go in deeper into expanding the heart. Because intuitively, as the universe is expanding, we are also expanding. So the universe cannot remain static. That's why the universe is infinite. There's infinite possibilities in every way. And if we are expanding, that means that the universe expands. So we cannot expand if the universe remains still, or static, in other words, without change. Because everything around us is change. And even now, just being here in this moment, just listening, your cells are changing. So there's always something changing. Even as still as it may look, there is some change happening. So that is what scientists are finding at the moment. But intuitively, as I'm saying, that the more that the heart expands, the more that you radiate this energy of love and gratitude. And gratitude is a heart opener, it's a heart activator, and it's also an aspect of self-love. And it just does so many benefits to you, that it's such a powerful force that you become this magnetic force. It is the way of also magnetizing more abundance in your life, magnetizing your divine partner. Because all we can do right now, when we have gone through a heartbreak, rather than focusing on the victimhood, the regret, the resentment of being with a certain person for X amount of time, or having, gone with them or married them, or being in the situation that you're at, then realize or become conscious that you are a creator. So shift that mentality of being a victim to being a creator, because we are mini co-creators. We carry the divine within us, the universe, which means that we also have the power of creation. And we can shift our mind, our thoughts, and our way of thinking with the power of our own will to want the change. If you change, if you change your way of shifting into this gratitude, you change your life dramatically. And I speak from experience. And so, as many cases have shown, there's a book that I started to read. It's called That You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he talks about how, if you haven't heard what the placebo is what has been used in medical studies, where they tell patients that they're getting an actual medicine when it's actually nothing, and the patient results or ends up getting healed, even though that wasn't really a medicine. So it's really about this whole belief system in what you're believing and what you're allowing yourself to believe with your own willpower. So this also ties in with some of the projection of others on you, right? The energy of the projection from others, and how you allow that in your own energy field, right? So for instance, right, in the book, he talks about certain cases about patients who were diagnosed by a doctor telling them they had cancer, and this patient died months later. But it turned out that that patient was misdiagnosed. So what that says is that projection from a person, a figure, an authorized doctor in this case, was allowed in their energy field as being truth to them. That became their reality because they allowed it. And so because they were so focused on that diagnosis, it became their reality. And so the case, about the placebo is that there's been, cases where people who have been told that in order to cure from this illness, they have to take this pill. And so, but the pill had no medicine at all. And then it turns out the patient gets healed. So it goes back to how you rewire your brain and what you are trusting and what you're keeping focused on, which leads us into being present. So if we're always caught being focused in the past, that is resentment, regret, things that happen in our life, then that also creates our own reality. And it keeps us in this pattern of lack. It keeps us in a pattern of self-blame and self-pity. And also, if we're focused on worrying about the future, what will happen, that also keeps us prisoners of that lack. But when we focus it on being the present, the state of gratitude of the things that we have now, then that is the state that you should emphasize and keep as a daily practice. And I'll share some tips with you on how you can get started on this soon. I also wanted, before I jump into that, I wanted to share about this Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dispenza, who he himself, his personal life, he shares an amazing story about how he was in a bike accident and was able to heal himself just by staying present and focused on everything that we're talking about here. And, using the power of gratitude and appreciation, becoming consciously aware. And even though doctors told him that he would never walk again, he changed his whole life. He was able to walk again, and he is now to this day. So he is a prime example of this whole belief system and how we change our mindset. What are we willing to do to make things happen in our life? To what level are you willing to take it to really heal yourself and attract that divine partner in your life, if that is your desire? And like in my case, for me, yes, I started with gratitude and energy, as a tool. That quickly started to heal my own heart, as well. But there's always ways to expand the heart even deeper and expand it even more, that you become this joy vibration and you become a love that emanates starting from self, from your own heart, and it expands out and radiates, that you become this magnetic force of love, compassion, and gratefulness, appreciation for all things. So let's jump into some of the techniques, the keys, tips to help you get started. Number one, I'll share 3. Number 1, start writing down a list of the things that you're grateful about. You do this in the morning and in the evening. But if you want to start slow, start in the morning. And just list even the most basic things. Like, for instance, being grateful for having a house, or being grateful for having a roof over your head. Being grateful for being alive. Being grateful for who you are. Being grateful for being of service in some way, and being grateful for making a difference in someone else's life. Whatever may be the case, just start with some gratitude of the one that resonates with you. And even if you're one who is lacking on finances, be grateful that you have something, that you have some money. Be grateful that you have a job if you have a job. Because sometimes the things that you have, others may lack. So there's always a reason for you to be grateful. And be grateful for the relationships that you have and for the lessons learned from those relationships. The ones that trigger you to wake up. Even the ones that are most challenging. Because they create opportunities for you. There is a metaphor from Buddha, speaking of ancient, wise sage. Buddha talks about the first arrow and the second arrow. The first arrow is when we find ourselves in the most challenging situation, that things can get so inevitable, right? As we exist here on earth in this world of polarity, there will be some challenges in our life, situations, because they're all meant for us to learn. So that's the first arrow, is the one that gets shot in us, that becomes so painful and hurtful in our life. It could be a breakup, right, from a romantic relationship, or the loss of someone in your life dear to you. All of those are like arrows in the heart, which feels like a broken heart. So what he means by the second arrow, you can't really change the first arrow, because sometimes that it's just things that happen in life, right? But the second arrow, you can actually make a change. The second arrow is the one where you dwell on self-blame and regret and resentment on a situation. That is what he means by the second arrow. That's the one that you can make a difference and change in your life. So there's no need to throw a second arrow at yourself. In other words, that's what Buddha is saying. It's enough with the first arrow to learn from. So take it easy on yourself when situations happen in your life. Somebody leaves your life, they're meant to leave your life. If somebody has, a different path, a different journey they must go on, then that is the path for them. And yes, it's okay to, grieve for the loss, of course. It's part of the process. But don't dwell on it to the point that you end up hurting yourself even more. Going back to this energy of gratitude, make it a daily practice. Start journaling, start writing down a list of the things you're grateful. And if you do write it at night, in the evening before you go to sleep, be grateful for the things that happened to you during that day. Be grateful for anything and everything. You be grateful for the air you breathe. Be grateful for wherever you may be. I remember somebody saying how, using the analogy of like when driving, for example, and being stuck in traffic, rather than being so angry at the traffic. And I do this, even today, I do it as a daily practice and maintenance. If I catch myself doing it, become consciously aware. You're stuck in traffic and it's just so frustrating, right? Because you really are so tired of being in traffic and you just want to keep moving. Rather than focusing on that energy, be grateful. Instead, shift the energy of gratitude into saying how grateful you are for having a car. And that just immediately shifts you into the state of gratitude and energy and positivity that eventually the traffic just, you don't feel it. Instead, you focus on the energy of being in gratitude. It's amazing how that can change your whole state of thinking and way. So in gratitude, it's not just thinking it also, it's actually feeling it. And even if you're feeling just a little grumpy or angry or resentful, try to just put some feeling into it. It's kind of like how the actors do, right? If you like to watch movies or shows on TV, you see, like, for example, the drama. In order for them to become good actors, they have to really feel it. For example, when they're crying, they actually have to act out their own crying and make themselves think into something that would make them sad and cry, or something that would make them angry. So now let's look at it from a positive way. As an actor, think of something that will make you happy, and in that state of happiness, then use that term of gratitude, the phrase, I am grateful for this car. And then see, put some emotion into it of joy, the emotion of joy, and just feel into it. And it will just even magnetize you even more into that energy. The more you practice it, the more you make it a part of your life. And even if you've been practicing it for so long that it just becomes automatic to you, you become the energy of gratitude, and other people will feel it around you. They will know, and it will definitely bring in more opportunities for you of wealth and great partnership in your life, of your love life. And the second one is visualizing a highest timeline of something that is for the highest good for yourself and the highest good of others around you and humanity. So the things that you do, the things that you act on, impacts all those around you, including yourself. So when you visualize something, visualize this with gratitude. So we talked about not focusing on the things that you lack, right? Or the complaints of something, the resentment, the regret, not having enough money, for example, or not having or attracting the love of your life, not having your soulmate with you. And why is it taking so long? Instead of focusing on that, now shift it into what you want to attract in your life. So, in other words, I am grateful for my abundance and prosperity in wealth and finances. And so that also is a magnetic force. And what you're saying to the universe is that you are that energy, and you are the servant of receiving that type of abundance and prosperity in your life. Now, if you look at it from a romantic relationship and say, I am grateful for my soulmate. I am grateful for my lifelong partner in my life. I am grateful for a healthy relationship. Then you start to magnetize and pull in that energy of the things that you're looking for in your life. That you deserve it, that you're worthy of it. And that's what you're sending out, this signal to the universe. And scientists talk about, tapping into the quantum field, the energy field. And that's really what the universe is, because it's just pure energy. The energy of your words, the energy of your thoughts. And when you put your thoughts and your words into action, that is when you become a powerful force of creation and manifestation in your life. and you're deserving of such things in your life, and put feeling into it that you're worthy of it. And so that leads us into the last tip, which is making that gratitude into an affirmation. So everything that you journal, number one, and you visualize, you can also make that as a daily affirmation, a practice. And just mix the two, the affirmation, the visualization, in drawing the image in your mind of the outcome, the highest outcome that is for the highest good of yourself and the highest good of others around you. And that's how, if you do these things on a daily practice, it will definitely start to shift you into joy, into love, into being this magnetic force of the things that you need, of the things that you want in your life, and make you this manifester and creator. And so I hope that this has helped. I would love to hear your comments and shares on the message, and what is your takeaway from the message and understanding of it. I welcome any questions as well. So with that, I like to quote, one of the quotes from Dr. Joe Dispenza says, "The thought and the feeling changes the state of being." So in other words, if you are focused on gratitude, then you become the state of gratitude. And Buddha says that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So yet, when you may find yourself in the toughest of situations that can be inevitable, just know that you still have an option to get out of that suffering. So you don't need to be in this state of regret, resentment, anger, frustration, and self-blame, because that is just also suffering as well. It's an emotional suffering, and it's just beating up yourself for no reason. So remember to take care, be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself also, because that is where it all starts, in the foundation of your own heart, the foundation of you. And that is also how you build your self-confidence and your self-worth. So I do hope that all of this has helped you. And just a reminder to please subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to connecting with you in my next video. So much love to you, and be well. Take care.